Howdy, and welcome to part two, I guess, of yesterday's video where I did an election prediction of, in 2028, of course, Gavin Newsom versus J.D. Vance. That one ended with Newsom winning 286 to 252 on this map. Now, Pennsylvania was the tipping point state here for Newsom, and this was a very close and competitive map, I will say that. The national environment favoring Newsom really did deliver him a victory on this map. It is definitely not going to be too friendly to the GOP in 2028. But yeah, this is how I think Newsom could win it. But for 2032, let's say he's the incumbent, and he is going up against somebody who I think is associated with MAGA, but also associated with sort of like the old guard as well, like the more traditional conservatives, and somebody who was in office well before the Trump era, and sort of a product of the Tea Party revolution of 2010, that of course being Florida Senator and now Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and categorize all of the states that I think Gavin Newsom would win by 15% or more in this hypothetical re-election bid. This is very dry, and you can also definitely tell that some of the electoral votes here have changed. I've just done this based on what I've seen could happen with the electoral college map in 2032 following redistricting. Of course, all of this could change at any minute, that sort of thing, but this is just what I've seen based on data and how things are looking. Of course, it's very not good for the Democrats because you see states like Minnesota have dropped 1, New York has dropped 2, California has dropped 4, Florida's gained 3, Texas has gained 4, states like Utah and Idaho have each gained 1, that kind of thing. So it's like a lot of these red states are gaining and a lot of blue states are losing, which, coupled with what I don't assume is going to be a very good national environment in 2032 with Newsom, I will say Newsom is not very popular in some of the more niche Democratic circles. I know that there's a lot of criticisms about how he's dealt with the homeless problem in the state of California, and it's just like California has a rep right now as sort of, I've heard it be described as a quote-unquote liberal hellhole, and anytime somebody tries to, bring up what liberal policies have done wrong, they talk about California and Newsom specifically, and that's really going to hurt him, and especially with that perception, and of course with how I think he would govern, I don't think he'd do too great. Personally, that could just be me. I mean, okay, I'm gonna say, I did say in my channel trailer that I do lean left, but I mean, I can see just how this could go, and I am not really a strong believer in Newsom in terms of his governing record. So with that being said, let us go ahead and classify all of the states that I think Rubio would win by 15% or more. Now, I think that I will move Kansas back over. It has been trending left a little bit, but I think in this scenario it will get back over 15. Nebraska's first could look different. I feel like it's going to look redder, if anything. So we'll do that. We'll call Nebraska's first safe, as well as Nebraska at large. Can't forget that. And, all right, like I said, I do lean left. So for any of my fellow left leaners, avert your eyes, because this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. These two states, Florida and Texas, are bastions for the GOP, and they have consistently voted red for, I mean, okay, maybe not Florida, but Texas has consistently voted red since Jimmy Carter. And Florida has become a much, much redder state. Marco Rubio, of course, being from the state, he is going to have that unique kind of appeal to Hispanic and Latino voters, especially the Cuban voters in the Miami and Fort Lauderdale and Tampa, those metro areas in Florida. Rubio is going to have particularly good pull with those. Rubio did win by well over 15 in his last Senate bid, and that was 2022, of course. So, yeah, Florida definitely going to be safe for Rubio, I feel like. And Texas, this is a bit tougher. I feel like it'll be over 15. I feel like we're going to see suburban voters sort of revert back to what they were under in the 2024 election, but sort of like further to the right just ever so slightly. I feel like that's going to put Texas at like 15% exactly. That's how I think that's going to go. And that's my take on it. So these are all of the safe states for Rubio, of course. And let us move on to the likely states. Now, likely, of course, 5 and 15. Between that, we're just gonna go through and characterize all of those states. All of these states that I'm about to characterize, I do feel like would go to Newsom by like between 10 and 15. Like Oregon will, Illinois will. I feel like New York will. Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island will. And Colorado will. I'm going to say that. I feel like Colorado is pretty locked in for the Democrats at this point. I feel like it will hold even in a Newsom re-election bid after, he's... I'm going to say it. He's going to be very unpopular going into 2032 if he wins in 2028. Of course, this being a continuation of yesterday's video, that sort of deal. So that is where I can see this leading. I feel like we're just going to be back to 2024 values in places like Illinois and New York. And Rubio, of course, has his set of likely states. That's obviously going to be Iowa and Ohio. Those are definitely going to lock in pretty considerably. Alaska will be there as well, so we'll main 2nd district. And the next one that I want to add is going to be Arizona. This, I hope, is understandable, especially after last year's election, where Hispanic and Latino voters definitely voted much more in favor of Trump than they had previously. And with Rubio on the ticket, I think he has that unique kind of pull that could translate to a strong performance in Arizona and Nevada as well. I will say that these two probably get like just over 5 each. Maybe Arizona 6 or 7 in Arizona, but Nevada just over 5. And yeah, so Newsom also has his own set of likely states. I feel like we can see Virginia still go likely. I was already classifying likely states, but Virginia, I do feel like, is going to continue to be a likely blue state. I feel like it's going to be the same in Maine. I don't feel like it's going to dry up too much, but I think that kind of wraps up. So moving into the lean states, I do want to say New Jersey is still going to hold for Newsom. I think it's going to be won by about 5. I think Newsom does hold on to it. It's going to edge the GOP again, but I think New Jersey going to Newsom by 5 in his re-election bid seems fair enough. That's how I see it. Minnesota is also going to join the bunch, and it's like Hillary Clinton barely won the state by like 1.5 points. I feel like Newsom is going to do a little better, maybe 2 or 3. But I mean, it is going to be hard to hold on to some of that support in some of these states. New Mexico is also going to hold on for Newsom, probably by about 3-ish. I mean, he won't be a popular incumbent, and that is going to hurt him in places like New Mexico. Nebraska's 2nd. I feel like Omaha probably will. Assuming it stays in Omaha, there is a very real chance that, if gerrymandering doesn't get banned, in the near future that this district could end up becoming much redder, and obviously at that point Rubio would have it, but still, I mean, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Lean states. Yeah, I think North Carolina and Georgia both are going to lean in favor of Rubio. Georgia less so. I feel like it has been trending much more Democratic, but I just don't think Newsom's going to hold on to it. It'll probably go by about a point. I think Rubio would win it by less than Trump did this past time, but yeah, I mean, it's a left trending state that Rubio would recapture is what I'm trying to say with it. Pennsylvania joins the bunch, and that's, I mean, Rubio is already over the mark, and Newsom would lose re-election, but Pennsylvania is just going to hammer it in. It's losing an electoral vote in this scenario, but it would still go for Rubio, and it would go red. Just hammer it in even more. And then Michigan, I think, would also join the bunch. It's one of those states that almost never votes red, just in statewide races, but Donald Trump has been the only Republican to win like a notable statewide race in terms of federal in a very long time. So Michigan, I could see going red, and it's the same with Wisconsin, probably by more than Trump won it in 2024. And the last state, I mean, Newsom is pretty buried at this point, but I think he cinches New Hampshire just barely, and that's where it's going to end. I think this map is very unfavorable for President Newsom in this scenario, and it is most likely what would happen. This is ultimately speaking, this is the Harris map. Like, all of these states are the states that both Harris and Trump won in the last election, but of course by varying degrees on the margins, and that I feel like is understandable. Like, this is really just a case for why I don't think Newsom should be the nominee in 2028, because if he gets it, this will happen, and then, I mean, this is going to result in a Republican trifecta, guarantee it. So this is just where I see things going. I mean, I have Newsom winning. Like, this is the map in 2028 with Newsom as the nominee for the Dems. This is the map in 2032. So, pretty significant shifts. Newsom loses, 70 electoral votes at this point. A lot of that, of course, is due to redistricting and reapportionment. And some of these swing states, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, they all do gain electoral votes in this scenario, but Pennsylvania loses. Michigan, I've seen, could lose an electoral vote. Just didn't pull the trigger this time around. But yeah, overall, this is what I think will happen in 2032 if Newsom is elected with this map in 2028. I'm just not optimistic. So we will just have to see if Newsom gets the nomination at all. But overall, this is where I think the map stands for November 2nd, 2032, as of right now, if Newsom is the nominee in 2028. So with that being said, thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Cold Politics, and yeah, that'll wrap up. Maybe, agree, disagree, definitely leave a comment about it, because, I mean, I love analyzing elections and hypotheticals and that sort of thing. So, open to dialogue. But yeah, definitely let me know, and I'll see y'all later.